The teller.
It's another day. Left jab, right jab. This is MMA. Mixed martial arts, quick body parts. Undefeated when I pick 'em. Who the champ, who the victim? Looking in my crystal ball, I predict the winner. Never stop fighting. If you lose, keep your chin up. Know how the game go. I'm a smart fella. Welcome to the show. This the MMA fortune teller.
The MMA fortune teller.
The teller.
What is up, you guys? The teller coming at you guys again and again and again. For those of you guys that don't realize, we got 3 cards taking place within a 10-day time frame. So I'm going to be pumping out these prediction videos to you guys. This video right here is all about Dan Ige versus Calvin Kattar. It's a pretty cool card. We're going to be getting into it. Of course, the Frankie Edgar versus Pedro Munoz fight was scrapped. Pedro, I believe he caught COVID and whatnot, so they're looking to reschedule that fight. But nevertheless, we're going to go through this entire card. Of course, we did have UFC 251 take place last night. I'm currently filming this late Sunday night. I'm going to try to get this video out to you guys late here tonight. Worst case scenario, I'll get it to you guys early tomorrow morning. So let's see how this all goes. But yeah, we had UFC 251, so we got to touch upon that even before we do anything. It was another profitable event for the teller. It was a perfect 3 for 3 for the teller last night, man. Clean sweep. And really, it should have been a 4 for 4, man. I did a little small bet, but I don't really consider it to be one of my official plays unless, of course, it's locked in and I'm giving it to everybody. But I also did take Usman by decision. For those of you guys that watch the Fight Companion show, I told everybody I'm going to lock that in there too. But I had my 3 solid plays that I felt extremely confident in. Leonardo Santos, 4.5 unit play. A lot of people, in my opinion, were sleeping on Santos. A lot of people were picking Bogatov to pull the upset. They saw him, this tough Russian guy. He's bald. He's tenacious. I didn't see it at all. If you watch the fight tape, Leonardo Santos would have been the superior grappler as far as what I saw, leading up to that fight on paper and watching video. Leonardo Santos, we're talking about at one point in time, the best Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner in the lightweight division. That's how a lot of people felt. A lot of top-notch Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu people voted him to be the top BJJ practitioner at that weight class. And then what about his striking? His striking is underrated. He goes out there. You saw him again last night. He was this close from finishing the fight in the second round. Training over there with Andre Petneris, an excellent head coach. He trains Jose Aldo as well. A bunch of savages over there. So don't sleep on Leonardo Santos' striking. The only thing that even made me somewhat, hesitate a little bit, which obviously I didn't hesitate, but the only thing I was a little worried about was Leonardo Santos did have some time out of the game, right? He missed 4 years without a fight, came back, he had that knockout. He's also 40 years old. But when you watch Bogatov on tape, that guy was just diving at people's legs. He's very tough. He keeps coming. His striking is not there at all. Very, very below average striking. So I gave the edge to Santos everywhere. I thought if Bogatov was diving in at his legs, he just wasn't going to be able to really do anything with that. And I thought he was going to put himself in danger to be submitted. But you saw it, Leonardo Santos is just like a cat. He was stuffing all that. And then Bogatov hits him with 4 illegal shots, pokes him in the eye once, hits him in the groin twice, knees him in the head in the 3rd round, which Santos didn't even have to get back up. He would have won the fight anyway. They would have called it. But Santos was a true man. He went out there and he won the fight the right way. But that was an easy pickup as far as I was concerned. Petr Yan, I was all over that Petr Yan play, man. That was my biggest play of the night, 5.5 units on him. He did start off a little slow. I knew it was a 5-round fight. I felt very comfortable. The longer that fight went, I saw exactly what was going to happen in that fight, and obviously Yan did too. He was patient. He took over that fight. And then it was even it was a little bit of a questionable stoppage. It probably should have been stopped a little bit earlier. Aldo took some real damage there. And good luck to anybody fighting Petr Yan right now because he's the champ. So that means anytime you face him now, it's going to be a 5-round fight. You got to go in there and fight him for 5 rounds. You're not going to be able to go in there and just sneak off, 2 of the 3 rounds and steal a decision against him. You got to go to war with Petr Yan. So good luck to Aljo or whoever gets the next shot, but it should be Aljo. And then I took Alexander Volkanovski, 4-unit play in Alexander Volkanovski, an extremely close match. I know a lot of people have been upset about, the decision on the fight. I thought it could have went either way. If you guys watched the Fight Companion, I called it. It's all on video. I said it before the judges even said anything. I said it's going to be a split decision, 29-28. It's going to go one way or the other, but it's going to be a split decision. I knew it, and it's exactly what happened. You know, I'm a big Max Holloway fan as well, and I'm sure a lot of you guys are too, and I think Max looks spectacular out there. I did not expect that fight to play out like that. In my opinion, in the first fight, Volkanovski really put a beating on Max. I thought he really outclassed him, and Max Holloway made some major adjustments, and he looked really good in there. But, you know, it really came down to, that third round, I believe it was. It was a very close fight, but Volkanovski finished the fight stronger, and, you know, those same people that didn't say anything about the John Jones fight against Dominic Reyes all of a sudden are saying this now about Holloway. It was a very similar situation. You know, Volkanovski finished strong. Max Holloway dropped him. You know, he had some moments, but it was very, very similar to the John Jones versus Reyes fight, in my opinion. And sometimes, you know, the champ tends to get the nod when the fight's really close, you know. But you know what? Nevertheless, that was a win for the teller. So 3 for 3. I did have another play that was voided. You know, Gilbert Burns versus Kamaru Usman. So, you know, overall, it was a spectacular night for the teller. I was very happy. It was a very profitable night. I mean, you see the units. I don't know if you could see. I might be blocking some of it, but I mean, I profited over 6.5 units, almost 7 units on the night. It was a very profitable night for me. A lot of money came in for me. So, you know, very happy about that. Now, as I said, man, we had the Fight Companion going down. Shout out to everybody that joined us for the Fight Companion. It was a spectacular show. Really appreciate everybody that joined us. And we'll be doing that again for this Wednesday's card, and then the Saturday's card. We'll always be doing that for every show or for every event in the meantime. So until further notice, they'll all be just going down. We had Chris Lieben on the show this past Thursday. For those of you guys that didn't know, if you didn't check that out, man, Chris Lieben, the Crippler, came on the show. Man, that was a good one. And make sure you guys go check that out. And yeah, man, creeping up on those 3,000 subscribers. If you guys haven't subscribed yet, please do. Appreciate all you guys. And yeah, I guess it's time to start looking into this Wednesday's card. We got a hell of a main event, man. This guy Calvin Kattar is the truth. And you take a look at the lines over here. And yeah, let's pull up the fight card. Oh, before we do that, you know what? Let me just recap UFC 251 very briefly. I'll swing through it real quick, working our way from the bottom up to the top. Davey Grant, nice upset, man. I think he really needed that knockout towards the end of the fight. Came through. Carol Rosa, you know, she showed up. She was a pretty decent favorite there. Julian Pava, that was a close fight. I thought Pava did enough, though. Tybura, that was the most boring fight I've seen in forever. Maxime Grishin. Santos, we talked about it. Makwan Amirkhani looked amazing, man. This guy's the real deal. You know, people have been talking about this guy's submission skills. He's been subbing all types of very high-level black belt jiu-jitsu practitioners in the gym. His anaconda choke is nasty. People have been talking about it. And Muslim Salikov, that was a very close fight. Picked him to win that fight. You know, a lot of money came in on him late. My prediction video, when I got it out to you guys, I believe he was the slight underdog. I guess I'm moving lines over here or something, but no, you know, no money on that. How about this guy, man? The newcomer, Yuri Prokatska. However you want to say that, man. This guy is the truth. I like this guy a lot, man. I had Volkan Ozdemir to win that fight. I definitely was going to stay away from it as far as betting goes. But this guy, Yuri, man, this guy is so unorthodox. He has the kiss of death on his hands. He could eat a shot, man. He ate so many shots that Volkan gave him. It didn't phase him. This guy is going to be a contender, in my opinion. I think he's going to knock a lot of guys out. I think he's going to become a real fan favorite in the sport. Rebos destroyed Paige Van Zandt. A lot of us saw it going down like that, right? Rose Namajunas, I had her winning that fight. I thought she did enough to win that fight. And it played out very, very much so how I thought it would. And then the Jan fight, the Volkanovski fight. And then, the Jorge Masvidal versus Kamaru Usman. About, you know, I did a little live play on the Fight Companion. Like I said, I took Usman to win by decision. And I thought that was the way that fight was going to go. I tried to warn a lot of people not to touch that Masvidal fight. If you listen, I told you guys, stay away from it. He's taking the fight on short notice. Even if he had a full camp, I don't see him beating Usman. There's a lot of hype behind him. That's not the type of fights you want to target. You don't want to target those types of fighters. You know, Masvidal is a hell of a fighter. I'm a big fan. But he's more of a hype type fighter, man. When you start getting to the guys like Usman, these are cream of the crop, you know, championship type dudes. I think Colby Covington also would take out Masvidal. You know, I like these types of fighters, man, like Covington, Usman. They have the wrestling background. Even a Gilbert Burns, I think, is a little bit stronger with his grappling than Jorge Masvidal. But Masvidal's still a stud, so shout out to him for making that money, and he's going to get a big fight moving forward anyway. So, all right. Now we get the card. We get the card here. UFC Fight Night Calvin Kattar versus Dan Ige. The first fight of the card, we got Jorge Gonzalez taking on Kenneth Berg. For those of you guys that are familiar with Kenneth Berg, remember we saw him on Dana White's Contender Series. This is a guy that that's not really, it's not really hard to forget this guy with all the tattoos that he has. He's tatted up head to toe. He has a very familiar face, and he's undefeated, but don't get it twisted because he got whooped up in that Contender Series fight. That's for sure. It ended up getting changed to a no contest. I believe his opponent failed a drug test or whatnot. But if you remember that fight, he was the favorite going into it, and this guy, Antoni Trocoli, Brazilian fighter, went out there and styled on him, man. He looked better in every sense of the fight game with the striking, ended up finishing with the neck crank in the first round. So that wasn't a good look. I'll never forget the way he looked in that fight. Now his opponent, Jorge Gonzalez, this guy is not impressive, in my opinion, on tape. 16-4, he's a tough dude, I'm sure. From what I've seen, he looks like a tough dude. But not overly impressive, man. His striking is very sloppy. His punches come out very wide. They're not technical in the least bit, in my opinion. I'm not trying to throw too much shade at the guy because, he's making his UFC debut here and he looks like a tough guy, and you never know. There was a fighter that on tape didn't look that good as of recently too, and he came in, made his debut, and got a knockout early in the first round. You never know what's going to happen in there sometimes, but it's kind of hard to back this guy. But then again, Kenneth Berg is a guy, like I said, man, he really didn't shine on the Dana White's Contender Series fight. This is going to be a big moment for him too. He's going to feel it. He's going to feel the pressure coming into this fight. Take a look at the line. Kenneth Berg's a -170. Kenneth Berg is known for his jiu-jitsu, I believe, as well. Good jiu-jitsu background. People are high in his jiu-jitsu skills, but he can strike as well. He's a strong guy. Take a look at Kenneth Berg here. 8-0. This guy's like a real Viking, right? All tatted up. He's in the prime of his career, at least as far as his age goes, fighting out of Norway. And we got pulling off rear naked chokes, guillotine chokes, arm triangle chokes, a lot of power type chokes. Did lose to Eric Spicely. Lost to Eric Spicely back in the day in The Ultimate Fighter. That's the first time I was familiar with him way back in the day. If you're going back to 2016. Eric Spicely, if you remember him, jiu-jitsu practitioner as well, solid guy, tough guy, but, a jiu-jitsu based fighter. So, he, like I was talking about dropping the ball in those big moments. Lost there. That was to get inside the Ultimate Fighter house, I believe. Lost that one. And then lost in the Contender Series. And now he's making his UFC debut. Let's see what he could do. I'm going to pick him to win the fight because, like I said, really not impressed with Jorge Gonzalez. But, he has a padded record. Decent record, though, 16-4. Seems like a tough dude. But I'm going to take Kenneth Berg to win the fight. And you see him over here, man, all tatted up. And that was the Contender Series fight there. I don't know if you guys can see that against Antoni Trocoli. We'll go with Kenneth Berg to win the fight. We'll see how that goes. All right, and the next bout, we got Shawn Phillips taking on Khamzat Chimaev, fighting out of Sweden. By way, let's see where he's from again. Slipping my mind. He looks like a Khabib type of fighter, man. He has the beard, the short hair. I don't think it's going to say exactly where he's from. I read it up earlier. I forgot. Either way, this dude is a beast. You watch the fight tape on this guy. You watch him pick dudes up, run across the cage, slam them on their head. He's also knocking dudes out, throwing uppercuts. I mean, he's funky. His striking's not the most technical. It's a little bit funky, but he has that power. Kind of reminds me of like a Rustam Khabilov type of fighter. It's definitely going to have the grappling edge, in my opinion. Shawn Phillips, this is a guy that likes to use his striking. Shawn Phillips is a guy that's dropped the ball. Speaking of people dropping the ball, hasn't done that good, inside the octagon, right? Lost 3 fights in a row, but then he did look good in his last fight against Alen Amadovsky. That was the fighter that fights out of, what's that country, man? Had a rough night last night, guys, but trust me, I put it together, man, for the fight tape. That when it comes down to breaking down the fights, don't worry about that. But I'm forgetting where some of these guys are from. I should know where this guy's from. I know it's the country right above where my background's from. It's right above Greece. It starts with the M, but it's slipping my damn mind right now. Let's pull it up real quick. I was hoping I could have remembered. Macedonia, exactly. But, Alen Amadovsky hasn't done good in the UFC, but that's a guy that carries a lot of power, more of a striking-based fighter. And in that fight, Phillips showed up, man. He tagged him up early, finished him. And so, can he string off 2 victories in a row inside the octagon? I don't think so. I think this guy Khamzat, the undefeated fighter, only had 6 professional fights. But like I said, this guy, in my opinion, is one of those guys. He's a specialist. This guy is a nasty grappler. I think that he don't let it fool you just because he has way less professional bouts compared to Shawn Phillips. I think this guy is more of a specialist. He's going to be a stronger grappler. I think he's going to get takedowns. I could see him working the ground and pound, and I see him winning this fight. Finishing a lot of his victories too, right? I think he finished every single one of them. That's right. All finishes here. So, and you take a look at the line. Yeah, minus 335 right now. Figured, the line might even get worse depending. I don't know, because he doesn't have a lot of professional fights. Maybe people will try to take some stabs at Shawn Phillips, but maybe the line's going to get worse, I think, more likely on Khamzat. I'm picking him to win the fight. And, yeah, just don't be surprised when he gets a lot of takedowns, man, works the ground and pound. I really think that's what's going to happen when you watch the tape on these two guys. That's what it's looking like it's going to be. Take a look at his Instagram here. This is Khamzat. This dude's, he's a tough dude, man. Really has that Khabib look, right? Same exact hairstyle, man. The hair's growing down to his eyebrows. Thick hair, got the beard going. Shawn Phillips, man, tough dude as well, but it's a tough matchup for him, I think. We'll see how that goes. All right. Picking Khamzat to win that fight. And the next match, this is a fight that I'm really looking forward to, guys. This is my boy right here, man, Andreas Michailidis, the Greek fighter. Of course, a lot of you guys know I'm Greek too, man, so I really back my Greek fighters. I had Christos Giagos on the show, an American Greek-American. But, this guy, Andreas, is a real Greek fighter, man, coming out of Greece. This guy's going to be, wearing the flag, the Greek fight shorts. And I'm really excited, man. I've been talking to him a little bit. And let's see. Talking to him a little bit, man. So he's been letting me know about what's going on over there. And he took this fight on short notice, but he was actually telling me about, there was some good news on the horizon since a couple weeks ago. So he obviously knew that he was on call to get a big fight. I think he knew something. And, and then I talked to him since he's been out there in Abu Dhabi, and he said he's going to come on the show after he gets this victory. So you can expect to see Andreas Michailidis on the show sometime in the next week or two, if not 3 weeks or whatever it is. He's going to be coming on the show. And this guy, I like Andreas to win this fight. I'm going to tell you guys right now. I might be a little bit biased, so be careful. I'm pulling for my Greek fighter. But no, in all reality, I think that this fight is very close. If you take a look at the line, I think the line is off. Andreas is coming in as almost a 2-1 underdog, but this guy Modestas Bukauskas, fighting out of Lithuania, which is kind of funny too, because the Lithuanians have very similar last names to the Greeks with the S's at the end and whatnot. Modestas is a striker. He's a straight up striker. Doesn't have good grappling in my opinion. In a lot of his fights, he gets taken down, but his striking is there. He has solid striking. He throws nice leg kicks. His boxing is crisp. Don't get it twisted. That's definitely what his strength is his striking. I would say Andreas' strength is his striking as well. If you want to see some crazy highlights, look into Andreas Michailidis. This guy, he just finished his last opponent with the spinning wheel kick. It was disgusting. I saw him fight live. I saw him fight at Titan FC. I believe that was the fight. Yeah, he hit him with the spinning wheel kick. I was live for that fight. I was having a great time running around the arena then. That's actually when I first really kind of got introduced to this guy. I saw him come out with the Greek flag, so I've been taking note of him since back then. That was a couple years ago, I believe now. I'll pull that up for you guys. But this guy's, he's a solid fighter, man. I'm telling you, 12-3, very, very, I don't want to say unorthodox. It's not the typical tight type of striking. He throws wild stuff, spinning attacks. He'll knock you out. But you know what? The key, in my opinion, I would really like to see him work in some grappling and get some takedowns on this guy Modestas, because I'm telling you, he has holes in his game with his grappling. So no, that knockout I'm talking about was actually against Marcel Fortuna. It wasn't his last fight, even though he had another knockout there too. Titan FC. This was back in 2019, so April 2019. Yeah, man, over a year ago. But got another victory. This dude's a tough dude that he lost to, Vladimir Maniv. But I don't know. I think the line's off. I think if you're taking this guy, what's his name? Modestas. If you're taking him at that type of line, when really this fight should be right about even, I think you're making a big mistake. I think if anything, maybe Andreas should be the favorite. This guy's Greek, man. We could fight. And he's going to show you guys what the Greeks are about. So stay tuned. And I'm going to be pulling for my boy Andreas Michailidis big time. You see the nickname, the Spartan. At least he can actually use that name, even if he's not from Sparti, the actual city in Greece, Sparta. At least he's Greek. You see all these other guys rocking the nickname Spartan when they're from Hawaii and stuff. Speaking of one of them, right? The guy that got knocked out, Martin Day got knocked out. But tough dude. So we appreciate you using the name like that. I guess you admire the culture and whatnot. But this guy's, he could really use the name. Kind of like Christos Giagos, right? I mean, all these Greek guys. So you take a look at his opponent. Very, very good shape. This guy's a tough dude. I really do. I think this guy's a tough dude. I'm not trying to disrespect him in any way. But the grappling, I'm telling you, there's major holes with the grappling. This guy, you just touch his legs, he falls right down on his butt. So, when you're talking about a line like that, you see, and this was his initial opponent who had to pull out, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu specialist, Vinicius Moreira. But now he's taking on the Greek, and expect my Greek brother to win this fight. Shout out to you, Andreas, if you're listening. All right. On to the next fight. Got a heavy favorite here, right? And Jack Shore taking on Aaron Phillips. Some of you guys might be familiar with Aaron Phillips. This is a guy that fought in the UFC quite a while ago. I don't know if you remember him. I remember him back in the days when he was fighting Sam Cecilia. Didn't really have a good run in the UFC his first time around. Lost to Sam Cecilia, Matt Holbar, lost to Chris Gutierrez, not in the UFC, but you guys know Chris Gutierrez, another tough fighter, has been looking really good as of recently with those calf kicks. Remember that fight? But after losing those 3 fights, it looks like he's getting it together a little bit. Strung off 5 victories in a row, and now he's back to the UFC, and he's taking on this guy Jack Shore, who's one of the top prospects in the game right now. The Tank. I love that nickname, man. The Tank. 25 years old. This guy's serious. This guy has a lot of promise behind him, in my opinion. Looked really good in his last fight against Nolan Hernandez. Finished him with the rear naked choke. This guy was a champion outside the octagon, and this guy has high hopes, man, to be a champion inside the octagon. Still has a lot to prove. Like I said, only 25 years old, but this guy's a good striker. He has good jiu-jitsu. Very well-rounded fighter. So I'm definitely going to pick him to win this fight, but the line is high. The line is very high. Oh my God. I mean, every time I look at it, it's getting worse and worse. Jack Shore is as high as a -700 right now. That's crazy. So big time money coming in on Jack Shore. And I expect him to win the fight. We talked about Aaron Phillips. Aaron Phillips is a guy, well-rounded fighter. He's a crafty dude. I just think that Jack Shore is going to be too much for him anywhere the fight goes. I think he'll be able to outstrike him, outgrapple him. I think he's going to be in his face, pushing the pace. And I think that we went on about that fight enough. I think that's all that needs to be said. I think everybody's on Jack Shore. If anyone's picking Aaron Phillips, comment below. I want to see if anyone's picking Aaron Phillips. I highly doubt anyone's on Phillips in this spot right here. This is a tough fight for him, making his way back to the octagon. All right, keeping it moving. Let's see who we got next. It's a good fight right here. This has all the makings to be a very entertaining fight. Both these guys throw down. Ricardo Ramos taking on Laron Murphy. You guys remember Laron Murphy? He actually pulled off that draw in his last match. And that was a crazy fight against the Dagestani Rat. You guys know who I'm talking about. Conor McGregor's enemy, one of the guys that jumped in the octagon, Zubara. That was a split decision draw. And that was a crazy fight. But I think that Murphy took that fight on short notice, and he was very game. Very tough dude. He's willing to brawl it out with you. Good striking. Not horrible grappling either, Zubara was all over him, and he's known for his grappling, right? Typical, strong Dagestani Sambo type grappling. And Lerone kept getting back up. And it was a very tough fighter. But Ricardo Ramos, in my opinion, is going to be more skilled here. I think that Ricardo Ramos is more technical. I like this guy a lot. I like what I've seen from him in the past. especially as of recently. The last 2 fights looked really good. The Saeed Nurmagomedov fight was a tough one for him. Obviously, that guy's a stud, though. He's an up-and-comer. He did get finished in that fight, and if it wasn't for that fight, he would be really, really on a tear right now. And he's had some tough fights, right? The Kyo Hong Kang fight, that was a very good fight, very entertaining fight. He dug deep. He took that fight. And I think this guy's skilled, man. I think he's really skilled. You saw him in his last fight, I believe, against the Argentinian, I believe, Eduardo Gregori. I believe he's from Argentina. No, Uruguay, I believe. Yeah, Uruguay. So, and that guy's a tough dude, and he went out there and he styled on him in that fight. I just think that Ramos is, like I said, keep an eye out in the striking exchanges. I expect Ramos to be more technical. I expect his leg kicks to be a little bit more polished, do a little bit more damage with the striking. Watch the spinning attacks too. Watch the spinning elbows of Ramos. He throws nasty spinning elbows, and he'll hurt you with them. He will hurt you. And Lerone's tough, man. He's game, but he's going to be putting himself out there from what I've seen from him on tape. He's going to be bringing the pressure as well. So they're going to be engaging. And I wouldn't be surprised if Ramos connects with the spinning back elbow and finishes him. I got that on tape if it happens. Ricardo Ramos working up a sweat over in Abu Dhabi. And looks to be in great shape. As always, as he always has. So, Laron Murphy. This was the fight with the Dagestani rat. Took that fight on short notice and he was very game. I wouldn't be surprised, man, if he shows up to this fight and, he's in great shape. He was training for this fight. He might even be more game than the last time, so don't be shocked. But I like Ramos, too, so I pick Ramos to win the fight. We got some chicks throwing down in the flyweight division. Liana, Jojua taking on Diana, Belbiţă. And was watching a lot of tape on these girls earlier today. Of course, we got the Georgian fighter and the Romanian fighter. We take a look at the line here. Diana, let's see how much money's been coming in on her. Kind of bounced back to where it was initially, around minus 165. Diana Belbiţă, don't get it twisted because you see her as a pretty heavy favorite here, or a moderate favorite. If you watch her though on tape, I wasn't overly impressed with her. I saw a couple fights of hers where she's tough, she'll come at you, but I saw her getting taken down and beat up a little bit. But she's very tough, I'll give her that. She's a very resilient fighter, so very athletic. You see her, she does all types of these games and whatnot. Looks like she's a very fit type of chick. Very young too, right? How old is she? 24 years old. Both these girls very young. And the Warrior Princess. She's coming off a tough loss against Molly McCann, who we're going to be talking about in a little bit. Molly McCann has really been putting it together, so not a lot of no real shame in that loss. And before that, you see she pulled off the armbar. I do believe that these girls are a little bit green in their careers. They definitely need to polish up a lot of things, and as far as their skill sets go, from everything I've seen from them on tape, you really see some major holes in both of them. Liana, I saw her get controlled. Had her sitting on her back for a majority of this one fight I was watching. And another tough chick though too. She really proved to be a tough chick from everything I've seen from her. So, this has all the makings to be an entertaining fight, in my opinion. She's coming off a loss to Sarah Moras. That's a horrible look. Sarah Moras doesn't really do those types of things inside the octagon, but she did do that to her. But she's young. You're going to see her grow every time she steps in there. For as long as she's still able to step in the octagon, she's got to pull some victories off. Otherwise, they're going to get rid of her. But she's young. But I'm going to go with Diana. Diana does look a little bit more tough to me. I think that Diana will win the grappling exchanges when they start to clash a little bit. I think that Diana will be the one that falls upon top a little bit more. I think that she'll be tougher. I think she'll be pressing the pace a little bit more. When you watch her fights, she's really tough. She's the type of girl you connect on her, or you get a little something off on her, and she's still just marching forward, coming at you. So that's a good thing. When you have money on a girl like that, she shouldn't fizzle in there and start to get discouraged and start backpedaling and whatnot. She seems like a really tough chick. And here they are right here, and we'll take Belbiţă to win this fight. Looking good there. She's over in Abu Dhabi as well. This isn't Belbiţă. This is her opponent, Jojua. And just so you guys know, no one's fighting in this cage. I think this is all like a prop thing. That's what I've heard. Just kind of like for pictures and whatnot. Kind of makes it intriguing. As we saw last night, obviously, no one was fighting out on the beach. Like a lot of you guys wanted, I'm sure. But this would be a good fight to see these girls fight on the beach, right? Watch them fight in the sand. But yeah, we'll take Diana Belbiţă to win the fight. Hitting that midway point through the card, or actually probably just surpassing it now. And we're coming up to another female fight in the flyweight division. Molly McCann taking on Taila Santos, the Brazilian fighter, who is coming off a loss. But she seems like she's a good fighter. If you've been watching her for some time, she's a well-rounded fighter, tough chick. And she had a tough split decision loss against a girl in Mara Romero Barella, who I'm not that high on, so that wasn't a good look for her. But before that, she's been doing her thing for a while. Molly McCann has really been doing her thing. This girl's tough. Molly the Meatball McCann. Her boxing is above average as far as the flyweight division goes for the females. She has that pop in her hands, which it's cool to watch a girl like her fight, right? Good footwork. And she likes to mess around, flick the girls off, give them the bird in the cage. She moves around good. Has power in her hands though. She'll bloody these girls up when she connects on them. Her one loss inside the octagon was her debut against Jillian Robertson. That was some time ago. I remember. It's funny. I remember her, looking into her when she was making her debut, and she was so short. She had the name Meatball. She was undefeated going into that fight, and I believe she was undefeated. I guess she had one loss against Vanessa Mello, who we just saw lose again this past weekend. But Jillian Robertson's obviously a very good fighter. So Jillian Robertson has amazing grappling, and that's what happened there. Just a different level of grappling skills. Jillian Robertson training with ATT and whatnot. And then you got the fighter out of the UK, and Molly McCann at that time still needs to polish up her grappling, but the boxing's there. Like I said, I'm going to take Molly McCann here. I think that she's been working on her takedown defense, working on her grappling enough that she can keep this fight standing, and I think that she's the better striker than Taila Santos. Close fight though, really close fight, but Molly McCann's been putting it together. Taking out, Priscilla Cachoeira, Ariane Lipski, Diana Belbiţă. Just talked about her a minute ago. So, that's the way I'm going to go. As far as the line goes, it's a pick 'em, right? Pretty much a pick 'em. People are liking both these girls here, so I like Molly McCann. Here's Molly McCann getting it in. I think we got a friend. Maybe you're listening. Angel. Shout out to my boy Angel. Angel, actually, he hit me up after the fight companion last night. He had some technical difficulties. Angel, man, I'm sorry that happened to you. I think he got his electricity working or whatever, went out the internet, got it working towards the middle of the main event or whatever it was. Was it the Usman fight? Either way, but Angel he missed out a little bit on the fight companion. But you know what, Angel? We're going to be right back at it this Wednesday, so don't worry. But the reason why I bring you up, I remember you telling me that you know Molly McCann, so maybe Molly McCann will be on the show. Angel, let us know. Molly McCann, maybe we'll get a victory show from her, getting a victory interview. Taila Santos, tough chick here. She's a good fighter too, man. She really dropped the ball in her last match against Mara. Mara's a weird girl though. Sometimes she shows up a little bit better than other times. It's hard to judge her. All right. Now we got a serious fight taking place here in the bantamweight division. Cody Stamann taking on Jimmie Rivera. And this is a very good fight. Cody Stamann obviously just coming off a spectacular performance. And he really had to dig deep in that fight. For those of you guys that remember, he lost his brother about a week of the fight. He was actually one of my major plays for that card. He came through in a big way. And you guys know who he took on. My arch nemesis, who a lot of you guys got upset when I had that battle with Brian Kelleher. I was busting balls a little bit with Kelleher. Some of you guys didn't like that. Some of you guys did like it. But I'm not a big fan of Kelleher's, and I can't wait to watch him get back in there and get slept. But, just joking with you guys. Don't take it too serious. But Cody Stamann really showed up in that fight. Cody Stamann's head movement Looked amazing in that fight, and it does in every fight, really. Every fight that you see him in there. Beautiful head movement. He's in great shape. Great wrestling abilities. He can stuff the takedown. He can wrestle you. So very well-rounded. Good kicks as well. Very good kicks. You saw he went to a draw with Yadong Song. Very skilled fighter. Alejandro Turbo Perez. Sterling caught him in that knee bar, and if it wasn't for that knee bar, forget it. Look at this guy's resume, man. He doesn't lose. This guy does not lose. I think that he's 30 years old right now. He's hitting the prime of his career. I think that he's right now he's going to be in a good spot mentally. I mean, I don't know this, but I'm assuming after going in there, taking out Kelleher, winning that fight the way that he did, and having all those things on the back burner with his family and whatnot. He's had some time to let that kind of settle. Not that that type of stuff ever goes away, of course, but he's had some time to let things settle, and he's even had a fight since it all happened already. So this is the second fight since it happened, and I think that he'll be okay mentally in there. Jimmie Rivera, very skilled fighter too, man. But I feel like this guy's past his prime, in my opinion. This guy's 31 years old, but he's been through a lot of wars. He's already had 26 professional fights, and he's taken some damage. The Piotr Jan fight, that was his last fight. That was a fight where he took a lot of damage. The Aljamain Sterling fight was a brutal fight. Marlon Moraes fight was one, where he got finished early. Moraes, hit him with the nasty kick, right? That was disgusting. I remember watching that fight live at the horse track. They actually had it at one of the bars over there. I think Marlon Moraes was one of my plays that night. And, he's been losing some fights here. Lost 3 of his last 4. Did take out John Dodson. But these are all, top-level opponents. Jan, Sterling, Moraes. We're talking about the best of the division. And I do believe that Stamann is right up there with the best of these guys, too. And that's why I'm going to pick the underdog. I'm going to pick Cody Stamann to win this fight. I really like what he brings to the table. You see, this is Stamann just styling on Kelleher. Kelleher, the big shot. He blew up big, so we'll see. We'll see who Kelleher gets next. And Stamann's a G, man. Stamann is a G. And Jimmie Rivera is a G, too. His wife actually just had COVID, so he was dealing with that for a little bit. And, yeah, man, Rivera's you guys know the deal with Jimmie Rivera, man. Very technical striking, very well-rounded as well. So I think these guys match up perfectly. As far as their skill sets go, very evenly matched. I just think that Stamann is a little bit more reaching his peak, and I think he's a little bit more skilled with his striking. He's the head movement so nice, the boxing. And I'm going to go Cody to win the fight. All right, yeah, we're all up in the main card right now. We got Jared Flash Gordon taking on Chris Fishgold. Jared Gordon is an awesome dude. Met him over at Titan FC. One of those events, actually, the one I was talking about earlier where Andreas Michailidis fought on. Jared Gordon was cool, man. He was chilling, hanging out. I know he doesn't drink and whatnot, but he was hanging out by the bar. I guess he was getting a soda or whatnot. Really cool dude. And tough fighter. He's had some tough fights as of recently. But fighting good level of competition. Charles Oliveira, Joaquim Silva, tough dude. Diego Ferreira. And he took out Dan Moret. And now, Chris Fishgold's like a little bit of an upgraded version of Dan Moret. Chris Fishgold, in my opinion, is more, he's an upgraded version. Good jiu-jitsu. Chris Fishgold, very good. I think he's a black belt in Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And he has a very powerful type style with his striking and his grappling. He throws bombs at you. He's strong with the takedowns. He'll try to rip your leg and just swing you down. And he's a tough dude coming off that loss to Makwan Americani. But I think we're starting to all realize that Makwan is one of the top dudes in the division. So, I don't know how much shame comes with that loss. Daniel Tamer, that was a fight where he did get the finish, but that was a war. And, I don't know if that fight really should have been a war. That was a fight I think he should have handled a little bit more convincingly. I mean, he did finish strong, but, if this guy had a lot of hype coming in. Remember, he took the fight, I think it was on short notice against Calvin Kattar, and he looked amazing in the beginning of that fight. A lot of people were breathing heavy that had money on Calvin in that fight because Calvin was losing the beginning of that fight, but then, of course, once Kattar just settles down, man, he's a little bit of a slow starter at times. He's patient, and Calvin Kattar, we're going to talk about him in a minute, but he sees stuff in slow motion, that guy. He's in the Matrix. You saw that elbow he just connected on Jeremy Stevens in his last fight. We'll talk about that in a minute. But the point being, he did look good against Kattar in the beginning of that first round before getting finished. The Tamer fight, he made it a crazy brawl. He was breathing heavy in those grappling exchanges, but he dug deep, and, still... He pretty much won all those grappling exchanges, got on top, and got the rear naked choke eventually. So This is a tough fight, actually, if you ask me. I've been back and forth on this fight. And, you know, I'm actually going to go with the dog here. I'm going to take Chris Fishgold to win this fight. I've been back and forth on it a little bit, but Jared Gordon, he's a tough dude, but I'm going to take Chris Fishgold to win the fight. I like the way he throws his hooks. They're very powerful. I think if he connects on Jared Gordon's chin, he could easily put him out. We've seen Gordon hurt too. Let's not forget, you know, over some of these losses that Gordon's had, man. You know, he's went out there before and he's been the buzzsaw chopping up the wood, but then, you know, he's also been the piece of wood, you know, against, what was it, Diego Ferreira really held his arm behind his back and just destroyed him. Joaquim Silva finished him. Charles Oliveira. I mean, these are a lot of finishes we're talking about here. And Chris Fishgold doesn't play. He's going to make this a brawl. And now, I don't know if you guys saw this. Paul Felder will be allowed to come off the desk to corner Jared Gordon, so that's a good thing. You know, they obviously put some time in together over at Rufus Sport. I know Gordon also does come down here in South Florida. He bounces back and forth. And Gordon's a really cool dude, so maybe we'll have him on the show, maybe not, we'll see. But it's a good fight. It's a really good fight. Tough fight right here. And just real quick, let's see how they match up as far as size-wise goes. 5'9" to 5'8", 60. Yeah, I mean, they're pretty much the same size. I thought Gordon might have been a little bit bigger as far as like height and whatnot, but not really. 1 inch. So yeah, I got Fishgold to win this fight. And you see Fishgold over here squaring off with Kattar. That was a brawl. Very high level Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu though, Chris Fishgold, man. He goes in there to try to finish you. A lot of power chokes. He goes there to choke you out. Goes in there to choke you out. All right. Creeping up to that main event here. Got a couple more before we get to that, but it's coming up. Definitely excited for that main event. Before that, though, we got a guy making his return to the octagon. He hasn't fought in a while, man. Abdul Razak Alhassan taking on Mounir Lazzez. You know, Abdul Razak Alhassan, this guy is a nasty striker. This guy goes out there to take your head off, as we've seen in the past. Took out Nico Price in the first round. That was actually a play of mine way back in the day. What was that, 2018, man? That was a play of mine. I like this guy. You know, went out there, took out Sabah Homasi. Had money on him there too. Took him out twice because if you guys remember, that's they call that the double decker, and I enjoyed that, the double decker. You know, actually I had money on Abdul the first time around, and it ended in a weird way. I forget exactly what happened. It was some type of like it was a questionable loss. That's what it was. That's exactly what it was. Homasi was still out on his feet, and he tried to complain that he wasn't finished. And then they reset the match, and I made money on it again. So let's not forget about those double deckers. They come around once in a while, and it's like a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. You collect that money, and then went out there, took out Nico Price, and now he's fighting this guy, making his UFC debut, fighting out of Tunisia. They call him the Sniper. This guy's definitely a dangerous fighter, that's for sure. Fighting out of Team Nogueira in Dubai. That's pretty cool, huh? So he's out from that area. You know, he's out there. It's not that far of a trip for him. And a lot of finishes on his resume. A lot of finishes, man. This guy's nasty. If you watch him on tape, he's had some nasty finishes. As far as the level of competition, I wasn't overly impressed. You take a look at some of these guys. 10-10, you know. That was just the Albanian fighter. I mean, you take a look at his victories. Who's he out there taking out? But the thing is, he looks like he's still dangerous, so you got to be careful sometimes, you know. He still looks like a dangerous fighter, so he might be able to go out there and get a knockout regardless. Not saying I see that to be the case. I got my boy Abdul to win this fight. I mean, you take a look at Abdul over here getting the knockout on Nico Price. The boxing is crisp. It's ferocious. He's an aggressive fighter, man. And here's his opponent, the Tunisian fighter. Yeah, definitely a striker, man. You see him over here. Good striking. And well, that's the thing too, man. Stylistically, I mean, it's probably going to be a stand-up war, so you know he does have that going for him. I don't know if Abdul is going to necessarily go in there and try to grapple him and whatnot, but Abdul might be the more well-rounded fighter. But it might just be a striking match, so that might just cancel out regardless. But I'm picking Abdul to win the fight. He's came through for me a lot of times in the past, and I'm going to pick him to win the fight again. How about Timbo Elliott coming up in the co-main event? They threw Timbo in the co-main event slot with Ryan Benoit. Benoit. Ryan Benoit was supposed to fight Tyson Nam. Remember, he pulled out, and now he's right back at it, taking on Tim Elliott. Tim Elliott just fought and gave up his neck once again, man. Tim Elliott constantly puts himself in dangerous positions. An extremely entertaining fighter to watch. But this is a guy you got to be really careful if you have money on him. He puts himself in vulnerable situations time after time again, and just let's see, take a look at that last fight. Who did he just lose to again? He lost to a guy that was pretty green, I think, right? Was he? Who was that guy? Brandon Royval. Yep, made his UFC debut coming out of LFA and got the arm triangle choke on Tim Elliott. I mean, you would expect Tim Elliott to be more crafty, man, and more seasoned to put himself in those positions, but he doesn't. He doesn't learn from his mistakes either. I really can't say that he won't go out there and do it again this fight. The thing is, he goes out there to be an entertaining type of fighter, man. I mean, that's what he does. You see all these fights. Figueroa caught him early with the submission. Ben Wynn caught him with the rear naked choke. But he's a skilled fighter, and the thing is with Timbo is that he's a good wrestler too, and he'll exchange with you in those grappling exchanges, and he'll get on top of you a lot too. He'll have some top time, but he's not the type of guy that just sits there and uses that top control to look good for the scorecards. He's there searching for submissions, and then he puts himself out there just to be reversed too. So it's kind of like frustrating if you have money on him instead of him just going out there winning the round. He's out there, doing that funky type of style, and sometimes it's not really that good of a thing if you have money on him. Who remembers Tim Elliott when he was in the Ultimate Fighter House? I did have James Krause on the show. We talked about that at the time. Timbo was visiting his boy James Krause. He was one of the coaches, and they were chucking water bottles at his head and whatnot. These clowns over here. I was always more of a Tim Elliott fan on that show, and James Krause. I like those boys. They're more professional, and Tim Elliott was also on the Ultimate Fighter show himself. That flyweight season where he won the show, and he got that fight against Demetrius Johnson. I've talked about that time and time again. He looked very good in that fight. Still lost the fight, but he gave Demetrius Johnson a run for his money more than anybody really had at that point in time. Ryan Benoit, you saw him when he was initially matched up against Nam. Look at him wrestling from a young age, stud with the medals on. I like Ryan Benoit. Go fighter. I talked about him too. I just broke down that fight against Nam. I had him to win that fight against Nam. Ryan Benoit is a guy I've been following for a long time. He was one of the flyweight prospects I was following way back in the day before the UFC even had the division, where I was trying to see who were the potential guys to threaten for the flyweight belt down the line. And he also had some fights at bantamweight and whatnot. He fought. There was a fight one fight that came to note. I remember watching live. I was pretty impressed with the skill level of these guys. And actually, he lost that fight too, I believe. But I was impressed with both these guys, and I expect Anthony Burchek, who really never ended up panning out, but Anthony Burchek was a tough guy too. When you take a look at what Benoit's been doing, coming off that split decision loss to Helia Tang, tough little Mongolian fighter, took out Ashkin Mokhtarian. Brandon Moreno's a tough dude right now, right? Split decision loss, but Moreno's running the show right now. So, I'm going to go with Ryan Benoit. Like I said, Tim Elliott's just, he's wild in there. He's unreliable, and it's hard for me to take him, so I'm not going to take him there. As far as the line goes, yeah, pretty much a pick 'em. I guess Elliott's a slight favorite. All right. We made it to the main event. You guys know what time it is, man. Calvin Kattar. We're talking about a potential featherweight champion of the world. Taking the guy in Dan Ige that has a lot of potential himself, man. This guy is a stud. In my opinion, coming off a loss. A little upset about that one, man. I thought Edson Barbosa won that fight. But, Dan Ige was tough in that fight. And but Calvin Kattar, I got to start with him. What about that Jeremy Stevens knockout, man? Hit him with the step-in elbow. We talked about that earlier. It was like he's in the Matrix. He sees things in slow motion. Some of the best boxing that you'll see inside the octagon. You don't see a lot of guys put it together with the hands the way that he does. I truly believe that he could hold his own over there in the boxing side. I mean, he's just so crisp and accurate and so technical. And these guys are in trouble, man, when they step in there with him. But forget about the hands. He's throwing elbows at you too, man. Elbows, and he'll kick you too, man. He'll head kick you. So he's a nasty fighter. I'm very high on him. I think that he can compete with the best of them. He did have that loss right against Zabit. Zabit beat him, and that was a fight where he looked good in the later rounds. It wasn't a 5-round fight. If it was a 5-round fight, he probably would have took out Zabit. You know, Zabit's always running from those 5-round fights. But Dan Ige, spectacular jiu-jitsu practitioner himself, tenacious, strong. He's going to be putting that pressure on you. He's going to be trying to take you down. He's going to try to do it all, actually. He's going to try to punch you in your mouth, kick you in your head, take you down, try to rear naked choke you. He's a nasty fighter. We've seen him go out there and whoop some of these guys up. So that the one fight that comes to mind, that Danny Henry fight, I was just studying tape on Danny Henry for this past weekend, and what he did to Danny Henry was nasty. Beat up Jordan Griffin. Jordan Griffin, a skilled fighter. We had him on the show. Shout out to Jordan Griffin, tough dude. I want to see him bounce back. Whooped up Mike Santiago, and then really his only loss as of recently, right? Julio Arce. As of recently. And then that fight, Julio Arce, man, it's the weirdest thing. If you guys haven't seen it, those guys are doppelgangers, whatever you want to call it, however you say that. They look identical, man. It's ridiculous. Julio Arce and Dan Ige. Actually, I gotta pull it up for you guys real quick because it's that ridiculous. Tell me these guys don't look literally identical. Hopefully there's a picture of both of them side by side or something. Look at these guys. I'm probably blocking it a little bit. You see them here? I don't know, I feel like they looked identical in that fight. I'm like, they're fighting themselves. But Arce, very, very skilled fighter as well. Look at him. It's like he's slamming himself, if you could see that. But back to Arce. Arce, a very very skilled boxer. So speaking of skilled boxers like Kattar, Arce is a very skilled boxer too. But Arce did win that fight. It was a close fight. But Dan Igue's came a long way since 2018. He's growing very, very fast. He's growing every time he steps in there. And but it's not going to be enough, man, to take out Calvin. It's not. Calvin Kattar is the guy, and I'm picking him to win the main event. And after he pulls off this victory, he's going to be getting a big name fight moving forward. Tune in this Thursday for MMA Live discussion. After the fight card, maybe we'll talk about who's next for Calvin Kattar after this victory. Changed his name to the Boston Finisher. His old nickname was the Boston Strangler. They didn't like that, the old serial killer. But he's taking out guys like Chris Fishgold. We talked about that. Ricardo Lamas. He looked so nasty in the Lamas fight. He was like he was in the Matrix with his boxing. And he's growing. He's growing in there every time. 32 years old. Let's see how they match up size-wise. Kattar has a really nice frame for the weight class. Very long in there. Great cardio. He'll go all day. 5'11", 1 inch reach, and he's going to be 4 inches taller. Yeah, I like Kattar in this division a lot, so I expect Kattar to go out there. I don't know if he gets the finish. I don't know about that. You never know with him, though. He can finish anybody, even a tough guy like Ige. But Kattar wins the fight, in my opinion. The line is high. There's a lot of money coming in on Kattar. Look at that, man. Dropping from a minus 270. That was a while back, though. But the money has been coming in. So it's dangerous at that line, too, because Ige is definitely, he's there. He's there, to try to take Calvin out. And he's very skilled, but I just don't see it. All right, so that's going to be my pick for the main event. For everybody that's watching, man, please hit the like button, like and subscribe to the channel, man. I appreciate you guys so much. If you guys haven't already, man, check me out on Instagram, MMA Fortune Teller _ Go follow me over there. This Thursday, it looks like I'm gonna have Mike Trizano on the show, Ultimate Fighter winner, a stud of a fighter, man. Really, he's growing right now in the game. That guy's a very skilled fighter, so expect big things from Mike Trizano. We're gonna talk with him and see what's on the horizon for him. I think he's Tiger Schulman, fighting out of Tiger Schulman's camp, I think. Excellent kicks and whatnot. Very, very well-rounded fighter. So I'm excited to have him on. And, that's going to wrap up the card. I appreciate all you guys. And any comments, questions, you guys comment below. Like I said, coming off a perfect event, 3 for 3 on the event. This past event, UFC 251. And I'm going to have quite a few plays on this card as well. If you're interested, you can reach me at MMA Fortune Teller at gmail.com. If you don't have Instagram, on Instagram, MMA Fortune Teller _. That's the best way to get a hold of me. It doesn't matter, though, either way. And shoot me a message, you know, if you guys want to know what my rates are for my exclusive picks. And remember, I was on like a 13 event win streak, if not more. I forget, it was 13, 14, whatever it was. I lost like 2 or 3. And, you know, some questionable losses, man. They were like, they could have won either way. Some guys dropped the ball in fights I believe they should have won 9 out of 10 times. But, you know, they dropped the ball, a couple of those guys. And it's okay. I bounced right back with, almost a 7-unit profit, you know, last night. And wait till you see what I do this upcoming Wednesday. Wait till you see what I do this upcoming Saturday. And, you know, for those of you guys that know what I do, you guys know what I'm talking about. So the profitable nights will be stringing off here moving forward. All right. So on that note, man, we're getting close to doing one thing. But before I say that, man, all you guys be safe out there. You know, bless all you guys. Be safe with this whole thing going on in the world, the pandemic. Be safe, be clean out there, and hope all you and all your families stay healthy and strong. And I appreciate all you guys watching my videos. And please subscribe and like. And on that note, I'll signing out, the Teller.
The MMA fortune teller.
The teller.